3 in the morning, and I'm staring at my wife's phone like it's about to explode. Mara forgot it on the kitchen counter before her business trip to Boston. The same business trip that apparently required her to pack lingerie for client meetings. I'm Nick Harlow, 44 years old, contractor by trade, ex-volunteer firefighter, and apparently the biggest fool in suburban Massachusetts. The phone buzzes. A text from someone named T with a fire emoji. Can't wait to see you in that red dress tomorrow night. My place, 9 p.m. Wear the watch I gave you. My dispatcher training from the fire department kicks in. Pattern recognition, detail analysis. The watch. I remember that watch. Mara claimed it was a bonus gift from her agency. Expensive, silver, definitely not something her cheap-ass boss would spring for. I scroll through more messages. There's an entire conversation thread about testing Nick's reactions and building a case for emotional instability. My blood runs cold as I read Mara's words. He's getting suspicious, but that actually works for us. Document everything. His jealousy, his questions, his mood swings. Victoria thinks we can use it in court. Victoria. Mara's sister, the one who's been through 3 divorces and considers herself an expert on maximizing settlement potential. The same Victoria who's been staying in our guest room for 2 months, supposedly job hunting. I hear footsteps upstairs. Mara's back early from her business dinner. I quickly put the phone back exactly where I found it and pretend to be getting a late-night snack from the fridge. Nick, what are you doing up? Mara appears in the doorway, still in her work clothes, lipstick slightly smudged. Couldn't sleep. Thought I'd grab some milk. I turned to face her, studying her expression. How was dinner with the clients? Oh, boring corporate stuff. We went over the quarterly projections. She's not meeting my eyes. I'm exhausted, going straight to bed. As she passes me, I catch a whiff of cologne. Not mine, something expensive and cloying that makes my stomach turn. Mara, you forgot your phone. She freezes. Oh, thanks. I was wondering where I left it. She grabs it quickly, checking for messages. Her face goes pale. Everything okay? Fine. Just work stuff. You know how it is? But I do know how it is now. I know exactly how it is. The next morning, I'm in my workshop behind the house, supposedly organizing tools, but actually planning my next move. My phone rings. It's Darryl, my best friend and former firefighting partner. Nick, you sound like hell. What's going on? I think Mara's cheating on me. Shit, man. You sure? Pretty sure. Found some texts on her phone, but it's worse than that, Darryl. I think she's planning something, setting me up for a divorce where she comes out looking like the victim. That's cold, even for Mara. What do you need? Information. You still have contacts at the phone company? A few. What kind of information? Call records, location data. I need to know where she's really been going. Nick, be careful. You don't want to do anything that could backfire in court. Don't worry, I'm not going to break any laws. I'm just going to be very, very thorough. That afternoon, I decide to do some reconnaissance. Mara's at work, or so she says. I drive to her advertising agency downtown and park across the street. Sure enough, her car isn't in the lot. I call the main number. Hartwell and Associates. How can I help you? Hi, this is Nick Harlow, Mara's husband. I was supposed to meet her for lunch, but I can't reach her cell. Is she in the office today? Oh, Mr. Harlow. Actually, Mara left early today. She said she had a client meeting off-site. Maybe try her cell again? Thanks. I'll do that. Client meeting. Right. I spend the next hour driving around town, checking the usual spots, the upscale restaurants, the hotel bars, anywhere Mara might take a client. Finally, I spot her car at Lakeside Grill, the most expensive restaurant in town. Through the window, I can see her sitting across from a man I recognize from the agency Christmas party. Trent Mallory, the Golden Boy account executive who drives a BMW and wears suits that cost more than most people's monthly rent. They're sitting close. Very close. Mara's hand is on his arm, and she's laughing at something he said. This isn't a business meeting. This is a date. I take out my phone and snap a few photos through the window. Nothing invasive, just documentation. As I'm putting my phone away, I notice something that makes my blood boil. Mara is indeed wearing the silver watch, the one that was supposedly a bonus from her boss, the one that T told her to wear in the text message. My phone buzzes with a text from Mara. Working late tonight. Don't wait up. I text back, no problem. Love you. The lie tastes bitter even in a text message. That evening, I decide to visit Murphy's Tavern, the local firefighter hangout where half the town's emergency responders drink and gossip flows like beer from the tap. Red, the longtime bartender, knows everyone's business before they know it themselves. Nick, haven't seen you in a while. How's married life treating you? Can't complain, Red. Well, I could, but what's the point? She laughs and pours me a beer without asking what I want. You look like a man with something on his mind. Just curious about something? You know Trent Mallory, works at that advertising agency downtown? Red's expression shifts slightly. Pretty boy with the fancy car. Yeah, I know him. He comes in here sometimes, usually with different women. Why? He works with Mara. I was wondering what kind of guy he is. The kind that thinks his shit doesn't stink, if you ask me. Always flashing money around, talking about his big deals. But between you and me, I heard from Cindy, she works at the bank, that his checks bounce more often than a basketball. All flash, no cash. This is interesting. Very interesting. He been in here lately? A few nights ago, actually, with some blonde woman. They were all over each other. Real inappropriate, if you ask me. She was wearing this fancy watch, kept checking it like she had somewhere else to be. My stomach drops. Blonde woman? Yeah, pretty thing. Looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. They left together around 10. I finish my beer and head home, my mind racing. When I get there, Victoria is in the living room watching reality TV and eating ice cream straight from the container. Hey, Nick, Mara's working late again? Seems like it. She's been putting in a lot of hours lately. Well, that's the price of success, right? She's really climbing the ladder at that agency. All those client dinners and strategy sessions. Strategy sessions? Oh yeah, she tells me all about them. Late-night brainstorming with the other executives, building relationships with clients. It's all about networking in that business. Victoria's tone is casual, but there's something in her eyes. A smugness that makes me want to throw her ice cream across the room. Must be nice having such a dedicated sister. Mara's always been ambitious. She knows what she wants and goes after it. I really admire that about her. I excuse myself and go to my workshop. I need to think, and I need to plan. The next morning, while Mara's in the shower, I do something I never thought I'd do. I go through her purse. I find receipts for restaurants I've never been to, parking stubs for downtown garages, and a business card for a jewelry store with a handwritten note on the back. Thanks for the custom order, TM. Custom order. The watch. I photograph everything and put it all back exactly as I found it. When Mara comes downstairs for breakfast, I'm sitting at the table reading the newspaper like nothing happened. Morning, honey. Sleep well? Like a baby. You? Great. Listen, I might be late again tonight. We're pitching a new client, and you know how these things go. Of course. I'll probably hang out with Darryl, maybe catch a game at Murphy's. Sounds perfect. After Mara leaves for work, I call Darryl and ask him to meet me at the diner on Route 9. I need to show him what I've found, and I need his advice. Jesus, Nick. This is worse than I thought. Darryl is looking through the photos on my phone, his expression getting darker with each swipe. She's not just cheating on you, she's building a case against you. That's what I'm thinking. Look at this. I show him a screenshot of one of the text conversations I managed to capture. She's documenting every time I ask a question or seem suspicious. She's painting me as paranoid and controlling. Classic setup. I've seen this before. My cousin went through something similar with his ex-wife. She manufactured a whole narrative about him being emotionally abusive, used it to get full custody and half his pension. So, what do? You document everything, every lie, every inconsistency, every piece of evidence that shows what she's really doing. And you do it legally and carefully, because if she's as smart as she seems, she's going to try to turn this around on you. I need to know more about this Trent guy, and I need to figure out what Victoria's role in all this is. Leave Trent to me. I know a guy who does background checks for the fire department. As for Victoria, just keep your eyes open. If she's involved, she'll slip up eventually. That afternoon, I get a call from Mrs. Grundy, our elderly neighbor who spends most of her time watching the neighborhood from her front window. Nick, dear, I hope you don't mind me calling, but I thought you should know. There was a strange car in your driveway yesterday afternoon, a blue BMW. It was there for about 2 hours. My hands clench around the phone. What time was this, Mrs. Grundy? Oh, around 1 o'clock. I only noticed because I was expecting the mail carrier and the car was blocking my view. A young man went into your house, and then later I saw him leave with that pretty sister of Mara's. Victoria and Trent. In my house, while I was out working. Thank you for letting me know, Mrs. Grundy. I appreciate you keeping an eye on things. Of course, dear. We neighbors have to look out for each other. I hang up and sit in my truck for a long moment, trying to control my anger. They were in my house, in my home, probably laughing about what a fool I am, probably planning their next move in whatever game they're playing. But two can play this game, and I'm about to show them that the quiet contractor they've been underestimating has some moves of his own. I decide it's time to force their hand. That evening, when Mara comes home from another late client meeting, I'm waiting in the living room with a glass of wine and a smile. "Hey, honey, how was your day?" "Exhausting. This new client is really demanding." She kicks off her heels and flops onto the couch next to me. "I could really use a vacation." "Funny you should mention that. I was thinking the same thing. Maybe we should take a trip together, just the two of us, get away from all the stress." Mara's expression flickers. Just for a second, but I catch it. "That sounds nice, but I can't really take time off right now. Work is just too crazy." "Of course, work always comes first with you." "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing, just an observation. You've been working a lot of late nights lately. All those client dinners and strategy sessions." "It's called being dedicated to my career, Nick. Some of us have ambitions beyond fixing leaky pipes." There it is, the contempt she usually tries to hide. I take a sip of wine and keep my voice level. "You're right, I'm just a simple contractor, not sophisticated like your coworkers." "What's that guy's name again? The one with the fancy car? Trent?" Mara goes very still. "How do you know about Trent?" "You've mentioned him before. Seems like you two work together a lot." "He's an account executive. We collaborate on projects. It's completely professional." "I'm sure it is. Hey, speaking of work, Mrs. Grundy mentioned seeing a blue BMW in our driveway yesterday. That wouldn't be Trent's car, would it?" The color drains from Mara's face. He stopped by to drop off some files. It was just work." "Files that took 2 hours to deliver?" "What are you implying, Nick?" "I'm not implying anything. I'm asking direct questions and getting evasive answers. There's a difference." Mara stands up abruptly. "I don't like your tone, and I don't appreciate being interrogated in my own home. Our home, and I think I have a right to ask questions when my wife is lying to me." "Lying? How dare you?" "Cut the act, Mara. I know about the texts. I know about the dinners that aren't client meetings. I know about the watch." For a moment, she just stares at me. Then her expression changes, becoming cold and calculating. "Oh, stop being jealous. What's wrong with going on dates with my coworkers? They all have a chance with me, so stop being jealous or I'll file for divorce." The words hit me like a slap, but I'm ready for them. I've been expecting this moment. "Okay, I'll file for you." She panics instantly. No, you misunderstood." "I understood perfectly, and I've decided I should divorce you." The mask slips completely. Mara's face goes white, then red, then white again. "You can't be serious." "Dead serious. You just told me you're dating other men and threatened to divorce me if I had a problem with it. So I'm solving the problem." "Nick, wait. You're taking this all wrong. I was frustrated. I didn't mean—" "You meant every word, and now I know exactly where we stand." Victoria chooses that moment to walk into the room, probably drawn by the raised voices. "What's going on?" "Your sister just asked for a divorce," I say calmly. "I'm going to give her what she wants." Victoria's eyes dart between us. "Mara, what is he talking about?" "He's being ridiculous. He's twisting my words, making something out of nothing." "I recorded the conversation," I lie smoothly. "Every word." Both women freeze. Victoria recovers first. "You can't record someone without their consent. That's illegal." "Actually, Massachusetts is a two-party consent state for phone calls, but there's no expectation of privacy in your own living room, especially when someone is threatening divorce and admitting to adultery." I'm bluffing about the recording, but they don't know that, and their reactions tell me everything I need to know about how deep this conspiracy goes. "This is insane," Mara says, but her voice is shaky. "You're being paranoid and controlling, just like—" She stops herself, but it's too late. "Just like what, Mara? Just like you've been telling people I am? Just like you've been documenting in your little journal of fake grievances?" Victoria puts a hand on Mara's arm. "Don't say anything else. We should call a lawyer." "We? Interesting choice of words, Victoria. Are you part of this marriage, too?" "I'm just looking out for my sister." "By helping her cheat on her husband? By helping her build a false case for divorce? By entertaining her boyfriend in my house while I'm at work?" Victoria's mouth opens and closes like a fish. Mara sinks onto the couch, her head in her hands. "This is all wrong," Mara whispers. "This isn't how it was supposed to go." "How what was supposed to go? Your plan to paint me as an abusive husband? Your scheme to take half of everything I've worked for while you run off with your boyfriend? It's not like that." "Then explain it to me. Explain the texts about testing my reactions. Explain the fake client meetings? Explain why your boyfriend was in my house? Silence. That's what I thought. I stand up and head for the door. I'll be staying at Darryl's tonight. Tomorrow I'm calling a lawyer, a good one. As I reach the door, Mara calls out, "Nick, please, we can work this out." I turn back to look at her, really look at her. The woman I married, the woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew. She looks small and desperate, nothing like the confident, calculating person who was threatening divorce just minutes ago. "No, Mara, we can't. You made sure of that." I spend the night at Darryl's place, sleeping on his couch and staring at the ceiling until dawn. By morning, I've made a decision. I'm not just going to react to Mara's scheme, I'm going to dismantle it piece by piece. "You look like hell," Darryl says, handing me a cup of coffee. "But you also look determined. That's good." I need to know everything about Trent Mallory, everything about Victoria's involvement, and I need to understand what their endgame really is. Already on it. My guy ran a preliminary background check on Trent. Want to know what he found? Hit me. 3 credit cards maxed out, 2 car payments behind, and a gambling problem that's gotten him banned from the casino in Connecticut. The fancy lifestyle is all smoke and mirrors. So he's broke. Worse than broke. He's desperate, and desperate people do stupid things. What about Victoria? That's where it gets interesting. She's not just between jobs, she's unemployable. Her last 3 employers all fired her for the same thing, inappropriate relationships with married coworkers that led to harassment lawsuits. I sit back in my chair, processing this information. So Victoria is a professional homewrecker, and Trent is a broke gambler. What could they possibly want with Mara? Money, obviously. But there might be more to it. My guy's still digging. I spend the morning at Darryl's, making lists and planning my next moves. Around noon, my phone rings. It's Mara. "Nick, please come home. We need to talk." "I think we said everything we needed to say last night." "Please, I want to explain everything. The whole truth." "The truth? That's a novel concept." "I know you're angry, and you have every right to be. But there are things you don't understand. Things I couldn't tell you before." "Such as?" "Not over the phone. Please, just come home. Victoria's gone. She's staying at a hotel. It'll just be us." Against my better judgment, I agree. But I'm not going in unprepared. When I get home, Mara is sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea, looking like she hasn't slept. There are tissues scattered around her, and her eyes are red from crying. "Thank you for coming," she says quietly. "Talk." She takes a shaky breath. "You're right about Trent. We've been involved. But it's not what you think. Enlighten me." "It started as just flirtation, office banter. I was feeling neglected, unappreciated. You were always working, always tired, and Trent was charming and attentive. So you decided to have an affair. It wasn't supposed to go that far, but then things got complicated." "Complicated how?" Mara looks down at her hands. "Trent has problems, financial problems. He owes money to some very bad people. And he convinced me to help him, just temporarily, he said. A loan from our savings to tide him over until his big commission came through." My blood runs cold. "How much?" $50,000. $50,000? From our savings? Without telling me? "I was going to tell you, but then Trent said the people he owed were getting impatient. He needed more time, and he thought if we got divorced, I could get half of everything in the settlement, and then I could pay them off. So the divorce scheme was his idea. He said it would be temporary. We'd pay off his debts, then I could come back to you. He said you'd never have to know." "And Victoria?" "She was supposed to help document your behavior, make it look like you were emotionally abusive. It would strengthen my case in court." I stare at her, trying to process the magnitude of the betrayal. "You stole $50,000 from our joint account to pay your boyfriend's gambling debts, then conspired to divorce me and take half of everything I own to pay off his loan sharks? It sounds horrible when you put it like that. It sounds horrible because it is horrible. It's fraud, theft, and conspiracy. Nick, please. I know I made terrible mistakes, but I was scared. Trent said these people would hurt him if he didn't pay. I couldn't just let that happen. So instead, you decided to destroy our marriage and steal my life savings. I thought I could fix it. I thought I could make it right. By lying to me every day for months, by bringing your boyfriend into our home, by planning to accuse me of abuse in court." Mara starts crying again. "I know I can't undo what I've done, but maybe we can still fix this. Maybe we can find another way." "There is no we, Mara. You made sure of that when you chose Trent and his problems over our marriage. But I choose you now. I choose us. Too late. You already made your choice, and now you have to live with the consequences. I stand up to leave, but Mara grabs my arm. Nick, wait. There's something else you need to know. What now? The people Trent owes money to. They know about me. They know about us. If I can't pay them back, they might come after you too. Let me get this straight. Not only did you steal my money and plan to divorce me, but you also put me in danger from loan sharks. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this, Mara. Nothing fixes this. I walk out of the house, leaving her crying at the kitchen table. As I get in my truck, I see Mrs. Grundy watching from her window. I give her a wave, and she waves back. At least someone in this neighborhood is on my side. The next few days are a blur of lawyer meetings, bank visits, and damage assessment. The good news is that Mara only had access to our joint savings account, not my business accounts or retirement funds. The bad news is that $50,000 is still a significant chunk of our net worth. My lawyer, Janet Morrison, is a sharp woman in her 50s who specializes in divorce cases involving fraud. She listens to my story with professional detachment, taking notes and occasionally asking clarifying questions. This is actually a fairly strong case, she says when I finish. We have documented adultery, theft of marital assets, and conspiracy to commit fraud. The challenge will be recovering the money and protecting your remaining assets. What about the loan sharks? That's Trent's problem, not yours. But I'd recommend taking some basic security precautions until this is resolved. Such as? Change your locks, install a security system, maybe stay somewhere else for a few days while things cool down. I take her advice and spend the next week at Darryl's place while I have my house rekeyed and a security system installed. During that time, Darryl's contact provides more intelligence on the key players. Victoria's been busy, Darryl reports over breakfast. She's been reaching out to your old friends, spreading stories about your erratic behavior and violent tendencies. Violent tendencies? According to her, you've been threatening Mara, destroying property, and showing signs of mental instability. All lies. Of course they're lies. But she's been convincing. Tom and Jennifer believe her. So do Mike and Susan. Tom and Jennifer Patterson have been our friends for 15 years. Mike and Susan Rodriguez were in our wedding party. The thought of them believing Victoria's lies makes my stomach churn. What exactly is she telling them? That you've become paranoid and controlling since losing your firefighter job? I didn't lose my job. I retired from volunteering to focus on my business. I know that, but she's spinning it as you being forced out. She's saying you've been drinking heavily, accusing Mara of cheating without evidence, and making threats about what you'll do if she leaves you. Son of a bitch. She's poisoning the well, making sure I lose my support system before the divorce proceedings start. Exactly. Classic isolation tactic. But here's the thing. She overplayed her hand. How so? She told Jennifer that you threw a plate at Mara during an argument last week. But Jennifer knows you were having dinner at Murphy's that night because she saw you there with me. So she's not just lying. She's bad at lying. Right. And once people start catching her in contradictions, they'll start questioning everything else she's told them. This gives me an idea. If Victoria is going around town spreading lies about me, maybe it's time to start spreading some truths about her. That afternoon, I call Tom Patterson and ask if we can meet for coffee. Tom's a good guy, a high school teacher who's always been fair-minded and reasonable. If I can convince him of the truth, he might help me reach the others. Nick, I have to be honest. I'm not sure this is a good idea, Tom says when we sit down at the local Starbucks. Jennifer and I have been hearing some troubling things. From Victoria? Among others. Look, I've known you for 15 years, and this doesn't sound like you, but what if it is me? What if I've finally snapped under the pressure of a failing marriage? Tom looks uncomfortable. Something like that. I pull out my phone and show him the photos I took of Trent's car at the restaurant, the receipts from Mara's purse, and the screenshots of the text messages. This is what's really happening, Tom. Mara's been having an affair, stealing money from our accounts, and planning to divorce me based on false accusations. Victoria's been helping her build a case by spreading lies about my behavior. Tom studies the evidence, his expression growing more serious with each photo. Jesus, Nick, this is really bad. It gets worse. I tell him about the $50,000, the gambling debts, and the loan sharks. So Victoria's been lying to us. About everything, and I can prove it. You said she told Jennifer I threw a plate at Mara last Tuesday night? Yeah. I was at Murphy's with Darryl that night. Red the bartender can confirm it. So can at least a dozen other people who were there. Tom shakes his head. Why would she lie about something so easily disproven? Because she's desperate. This whole scheme is falling apart, and she's trying to salvage it by destroying my credibility before the truth comes out. What do you need from me? Help me reach the others. Mike, Susan, anyone else who's been listening to Victoria's lies. I don't want to fight this battle alone, but more than that, I don't want to lose friendships over lies. Tom nods. I'll talk to Jennifer tonight. We'll set up a meeting with Mike and Susan. You can present your evidence and let them decide for themselves. Thank you. That's all I'm asking for. A chance to tell my side of the story. The meeting happens 2 days later at Tom and Jennifer's house. Mike and Susan are there, along with another couple, Dave and Carol, who I hadn't realized were part of Victoria's Whisper campaign. I lay out the evidence methodically, the same way I used to brief incident commanders at fire scenes. Facts first, speculation second, emotions last. I show them the photos, the receipts, the text messages. I explain the timeline, the financial theft, the conspiracy to defraud. When I'm finished, the room is quiet for a long moment. Finally, Susan speaks up. Nick, I owe you an apology. Victoria painted a very convincing picture of a man on the edge, and I believed her without question. We all did, Mike adds. But this evidence is pretty damning. Why would Mara and Victoria go to such lengths if they weren't planning something big? Because they were planning something big, I reply. They were planning to take me for everything I'm worth while painting me as the villain. Jennifer looks troubled. What can we do to help? Just be my friends. Don't believe the lies, and don't let Victoria turn you against me. That's all I need. You've got it, Tom says, and the others nod in agreement. As we're wrapping up, Dave asks the question I've been dreading. What's your end game here, Nick? What do you want to see happen? I think about it for a moment before answering. I want the truth to come out. I want my money back. And I want everyone who participated in this scheme to face the consequences of their actions. Including Mara? Especially Mara. With my friends back on my side and the evidence mounting, it's time to force a resolution. But first, I need to deal with the Trent situation. According to my lawyer, the best way to recover the stolen money is to go after the person who has it, and that's Trent. Darryl's contact has provided Trent's address, and I decide to pay him a visit. Not to threaten or intimidate, but to make him an offer he can't refuse. Trent lives in a fancy condo complex on the other side of town, the kind of place that screams, "I'm successful," to anyone who doesn't look too closely at the details. But when I get there, I notice the details. The BMW in his parking spot has a dent in the front bumper and a crack in the windshield. The expensive suit he's wearing when he answers the door is wrinkled and stained. Nick, what are you doing here? We need to talk, Trent, about the money you owe and how we're going to resolve this situation. He tries to close the door, but I put my foot in the way. I don't think that's a good idea. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to make you a deal. What kind of deal? The kind that keeps you out of prison and maybe keeps you breathing. That gets his attention. He reluctantly lets me into his condo, which is as much of a facade as everything else about him. Expensive furniture, but it's all rented. High-end electronics, but they're still in their boxes, probably waiting to be returned or sold. Nice place, I say, looking around. Very temporary. What do you want, Nick? I want my $50,000 back, all of it. I don't have it. I know you don't have it. You gave it to the loan sharks, didn't you? Trent's face goes pale. How do you? I know everything, Trent. The gambling debts, the threats, the scheme to divorce Mara and steal half my assets. I know about Victoria's role in spreading lies about me. I know about the fake client meetings and the jewelry store receipts. I know it all. If you know everything, then you know I can't just give you the money back. It's gone. Then we have a problem. Because my lawyer says I can have you arrested for theft, fraud, and conspiracy. And once you're in jail, those loan sharks are going to assume you're never paying them back. You can't prove I stole anything. Mara gave me the money willingly. Mara stole the money from our joint account and gave it to you to pay your gambling debts. That's theft and money laundering, and I can prove it. I pull out my phone and show him bank records, text messages, and photos of him with Mara. Your girlfriend kept very detailed records of your relationship, very romantic stuff. Dinner receipts, hotel bills, jewelry purchases, all paid for with stolen money. Trent slumps into a chair, looking defeated. What do you want from me? I want you to confess. I want you to admit in writing that you conspired with Mara and Victoria to defraud me. I want you to detail the scheme, the theft, and your role in it. And if I do that, I'll talk to my lawyer about a plea agreement. Maybe we can work out a payment plan for the money, keep you out of jail, and give you a chance to start over somewhere else. And if I don't? Then I turn everything over to the police and let them sort it out. How do you think your loan shark friends will react when they find out you're facing federal fraud charges? Trent is quiet for a long moment, weighing his options. Finally, he nods. What do you need me to write? 2 hours later, I walk out of Trent's condo with a signed confession detailing the entire scheme. He's admitted to seducing Mara, convincing her to steal the money, and conspiring with Victoria to build a false case for divorce. He's also agreed to testify against both women if necessary. But I'm not done yet. There's one more person who needs to face the consequences of their actions. I find Victoria at the hotel, where she's been staying since our confrontation. She's in the bar, drinking wine and chatting with a businessman who looks like he's already married and trying to forget it. Victoria, we need to talk. She looks up with a mixture of surprise and annoyance. Nick, I thought you might show up eventually. Did you? That's interesting. What gave me away? The fact that you're a controlling, obsessive man who can't let go of a failed marriage. Or maybe it's the fact that I don't like being lied to, stolen from, and slandered by my wife's sister. The businessman takes this as his cue to leave, throwing some money on the bar and disappearing quickly. You're making a scene, Victoria says. I'm just getting started. I know about the scheme, Victoria, all of it. Trent confessed everything. Her composure slips slightly. Trent's a liar and a coward. Maybe, but he's a liar and a coward with nothing left to lose, which makes him very honest about certain things. I sit down next to her and order a beer. He told me about your role in the plan, how you were supposed to document my abusive behavior and testify against me in court, how you've been spreading lies about me to our friends and neighbors, how this whole thing was your idea from the beginning. Now, that's ridiculous. Is it? Because according to Trent, you're the one who suggested targeting me after Mara told you about the affair. You're the one who came up with the idea of stealing money from our accounts. You're the one who coached her on what to say and do to build a case. Victoria takes a large gulp of wine. You can't prove any of that. Actually, I can. Trent kept records too. Text messages, emails, voice recordings of your planning sessions. He's not as stupid as you thought. He's lying to save himself. Maybe. But here's the thing, Victoria. It doesn't matter. I have enough evidence to destroy both of you in court, and I'm going to use it. What do you want? I want you to leave town, tonight. I want you to stay away from Mara, stay away from me, and stay away from anyone else who might be stupid enough to believe your lies. And if I don't? Then tomorrow morning, I'm filing charges against you for conspiracy, fraud, and defamation. I'm also sending copies of all the evidence to your previous employers, explaining exactly why you were really fired. Victoria's face goes white. You wouldn't. Try me. She finishes her wine and stands up unsteadily. This isn't over, Nick. Yes, it is. You just don't know it yet. The final confrontation with Mara happens a week later, in the office of my lawyer. Janet Morrison has arranged a settlement conference, a last chance to resolve everything without going to trial. Mara arrives with her own lawyer, a nervous-looking man who keeps checking his phone and shuffling papers. She looks terrible, thin, pale, with dark circles under her eyes. The confident, manipulative woman who threatened to divorce me just a month ago has been replaced by someone who looks broken and desperate. Let's get right to the point, Janet says. My client is prepared to file criminal charges for theft, fraud, and conspiracy. He's also prepared to file a civil suit for recovery of stolen assets and damages. However, he's willing to consider a settlement if your client is prepared to be reasonable. Mara's lawyer clears his throat. What kind of settlement are we talking about? Full restitution of the $50,000 stolen from the joint account. Mara signs a confession admitting to the theft and the conspiracy. She agrees to an uncontested divorce with no claim to marital assets beyond what she brought to the marriage, and she agrees to a non-disclosure agreement preventing her from making any public statements about my client. That's very harsh, the lawyer says. It's generous, Janet replies. The alternative is criminal prosecution and a very public trial where all of this evidence becomes part of the court record. Mara speaks for the first time since entering the room. I don't have $50,000. Then you'll have to find it, I say. Sell your car, liquidate your retirement account, borrow from your mother. I don't care how you do it, but you're going to pay back every penny you stole. Nick, please. I know I hurt you, but we were married for 18 years. Doesn't that count for something? It counted for something when you decided to throw it away for a broke gambler with a criminal record. I made mistakes. You made choices. Bad choices. Now you get to live with the consequences. Mara starts crying, but I feel nothing. No sympathy, no regret, no second thoughts. She made her bed when she decided to betray me, steal from me, and try to destroy me. Now she gets to lie in it. I need time to think about this, her lawyer says. You have until 5 o'clock today, Janet responds. After that, we file charges. At 4:45 p.m., Mara's lawyer calls to accept the settlement terms. 3 months later, the divorce is final. Mara has moved back in with her mother and taken a job as a receptionist at a dental office. Apparently, her reputation in the advertising world was ruined when word of the scheme got out. Victoria left town and hasn't been heard from since. Trent is working at a car dealership in another state, trying to rebuild his life and pay off his remaining debts. I'm back in my house, which feels bigger and quieter than it used to, but also cleaner somehow. The security system is still active, and I've kept most of the new locks. But I'm not worried about loan sharks or revenge plots anymore. That chapter of my life is closed. My friends have been supportive throughout the whole process. Tom and Jennifer had me over for dinner last week, and Mike and Susan invited me to their anniversary party. It's nice to know that real friendship can survive even the most determined attempts to destroy it. Mrs. Grundy still waves from her window when I come and go, and she's appointed herself the unofficial guardian of my driveway. Last week she called to report a suspicious pizza delivery driver who turned out to be bringing me dinner from my favorite restaurant. Darryl stops by most evenings to check on me and share whatever gossip he's picked up at Murphy's Tavern. According to Red, I've become something of a local legend, the quiet contractor who outsmarted the schemers and got his revenge without breaking any laws. You should write a book, Darryl suggested last night over beers on my back deck. Who would believe it? I replied. Anyone who's ever been betrayed by someone they trusted. Anyone who's ever been underestimated because of what they do for a living. Anyone who's ever wanted to see the bad guys get what they deserve. Maybe he's right. Maybe there is a story here worth telling. But for now, I'm content to sit on my deck, drink my beer, and enjoy the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. I took on 3 people who thought they were smarter than me, and I beat them at their own game. I got my money back, kept my house, and preserved my reputation. Most importantly, I learned something valuable about myself. I'm tougher than I thought, smarter than people give me credit for, and perfectly capable of fighting back when someone tries to destroy my life. Mara thought she could manipulate me, steal from me, and discard me like a piece of broken furniture. She was wrong. Victoria thought she could poison my friendships and isolate me from my support system. She was wrong too. Trent thought he could seduce my wife, spend my money, and walk away unscathed. He was the most wrong of all. They underestimated the quiet contractor with the blue-collar job and the simple life. They thought I was weak, naive, and easy to fool. They learned otherwise. The game is over, the audit is complete, and justice, as they say, has been served.